Welcome to Positive Outcomes, where leaders turn hard-won experience into income, impact, and freedom.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Positive Outcomes Podcast. We are here for another amazing show. We are here, as you know, this is a show where we bring professionals and leaders and we turn their expertise and how to turn their expertise into impact, income, and freedom. And today I am your host, Dr. Dorine. Okay, so let's get started. Today's guest is Susan. Susan is a director of public policy at AT&T Services. Susan has been a trailblazer in accessibility and telecommunication. Under her leadership, Singular Wireless became the first national carrier to offer talking cell phones. She collaborated with Deaf and Hearing Loss Associates to address hearing aid and TTY compatibility with digital wireless headset, and she played an instrumental role in establishing AT&T's Chief Accessibility Office. Susan has served as several U.S. federal advisory committee and currently serves on the board of G3 ICT and the World Institute of Disability. Her work has earned her numerous awards in digital accessibility. Susan, you are welcome to Positive Outcomes.
Thank you for having me.
This is going to be amazing. When I started the show and I was trying to fit the cameras and ask her, can you see me? Can you hear me? And Susan said, I cannot see you, right? And that was really interesting. I was like, wow, this is going to be the first person. And I'm sure everyone is now really excited to hear more how she's doing it with the disability. And I don't even want to call it that name because her success speaks volume. As your success speaks volume, and we are really happy to have you on this podcast tonight.
Thank you.
So we are going to go ahead and get started, Susan. What first drew you to telecommunication and public policy?
Actually started as a special education teacher, and I was asked to advise Pacific Bell way back when about what the needs were for people with disabilities. And it opened up a world of possibilities that would be available through accessible telecommunications or accessible communications. I think the way we interact with the world and how we're included in the world and how we all, each of us, impact each other is so powerful. And I knew that while my students would have the skills they needed, we needed to make sure the technology was also accessible. And so that inspired me to go into that field. I just saw all the things that could be because I had access to these great minds who were working on the next generation, the generation after that, of what communications could look like and the possibility for leveling the playing field for people who are facing all sorts of challenges, including disabilities, but just to make it possible for us to all connect.
That's so amazing. So I want the audience to really understand, like with the disability, like not being able to see. Can you speak into that and when it started and how that has shaped your career to the amazing person that you are today?
I started losing my vision when I was a teenager, and I have remarkable parents. Both had gone through incredible traumas in their lives. My mother grew up in Japan during World War II while her school was bombed, her trains that she would normally ride were strafed. It was a very dangerous time and very traumatic. And my father grew up during the Depression and then was in combat in World War II. So neither of them had this sense that life was going to be easy. And I think the thing they instilled in all of us, all the children, was the fact that you need to adapt, you need to problem solve, and you need to move forward. And so when I started losing my vision, my parents, you don't get a degree in disability when you have a child who has a disability. You just are
Right.
thrown into this world. She said, okay, you can't see the microwave. I'm going to put clear nail polish so we can use the numbers on the microwave and you can do it as well. So just that problem solving of You need to figure out a way. Nothing
Right.
is, life can have tragedies, but you don't need to approach it as a tragic person. You need to approach it as a problem solver. And so, and my father would also say, no matter how bad a day I had, how much I was struggling, he'd say, "Well, at least nobody's shooting at you," and that puts it into perspective. I mean, I have so many blessings, and I know that every day. I have a roof over my head. I have food. I have clean drinking water. I have great community. I have wonderful friends. And I have the ability to be flexible. And when I lost my vision, it was about problem solving. How can I do things? What skills can I have? And how can I approach things with a positive
Attitude.
attitude? Attitude. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. How can I say, okay, yes, this is tough. This is not to minimize the challenge. And we all face challenges and we need to deal with it emotionally. But we also need to be able to say, how can I make my life better?
Right.
And so I learned the skills I needed. I work with talking computers, I work with Braille, a variety of different tools. And then today, with all the things that are available, it is just amazing. And I am just grateful that there are people in the industry who are looking at accessibility. I'm grateful. I Dragon Boat. I have a wonderful Dragon Boat team
Wow.
that just says, you know, how do we get through it? We paddle through it.
That's just
That's how
amazing.
we do it.
That's just amazing. And with that, you were able to learn, like go to school and learn the skills because you are just looking at what you do in policy, in public policy and telecommunication. So that did not really stop you from continuing your education, right? On learning.
Every challenge has an opportunity.
Every challenge has an opportunity. I love that. Every challenge, guys, I hope we are all listening, and that's why she's here today. Every single challenge has an opportunity. So if you're here listening to us and you think you're not going to be able to do it for whatever reason, Susan is here to tell us she lost her eyesight when she was a teenager, but she's working as a director right now. And she just reminded us that every single challenge has an opportunity. So whatever challenge you're facing right now, look for the opportunity in that specific challenge and keep going. Thank you. That is so amazing. You have led groundbreaking initiatives like talking cell phones. Can you share what that project meant to you personally and professionally, especially with your situation?
Well, I knew that this could be life changing for a lot of people who were blind. And I also knew that the products were coming out, but not necessarily available to everyone, and certainly not available at no or low cost. And so I also believe that most people want to do something good in this world. And most people are not out to do negative things. And if you find those people, you can rally that support. And so we did something that historically made no sense. There was no background, nobody else had done it. There was a risk, could have been fraud, could have been problems. And yet we did a pilot program. It worked perfectly and it set the ground for the rest of the industry to come along to provide accessible technologies. It became a matter of not what do we have to do minimally, but what can we do? And today, I mean, there are millions of people using, maybe even billions, I don't know, the devices that are out there that have built-in screen readers that provide access to economic support, that provide the ability to have someone describe something for you on the fly, that provide the ability to recognize and read text. I mean, it is truly amazing.
It is.
And so I think it means a lot to me because it changed how, as an industry, we started to look at accessibility. We stopped looking at it as it's something we can push aside, but as a challenge that can help us become more productive, more creative, and more caring.
Amazing. And how did your early collaboration with the Disability Association shape your leadership style?
Think I was fortunate because when I came into the field, I came in as an advocate, but a very young advocate. And a lot of those who were in the field and had been there for a while really showed me some techniques that worked. And one of them is providing a parallel, having people who seem similar to the people you're trying to influence do the influencing, because people are less defensive if they can see themselves in that other person. And having someone who is willing to, there's some people who have great skills at breaking down doors and opening up new opportunities and saying, hey, here, I'm here. This is a real issue. And it doesn't matter whether it's disability or any forms of the other isms that are out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You have to have that, but you also have to have someone who can help that person who needs to change
Right.
those skills. And so doing it in a way that is productive,
Right.
that is life transforming for the person you're trying to influence, because they will become then the best advocates you will ever have. I worked with a boss who, my first contact with him, other than to say, I said, I think we need to look at hearing aid compatibility. Here's the studies.
Mm.
He called me up and he yelled at me.
Wow.
He said, "I don't know why you're causing these problems. I don't know if you were listening," all that, it was just he was having a bad day. And I called him back and said, after I calmed down from it, and said, "I don't know what you're hearing, but what I'm trying to do is help you."
Right.
And he was very nice. He said, "I'm under a lot of stress and my girlfriend says I do this." He later married her because and he apologized.
Yeah. We all have those days.
Eventually, he became one of the best, most outspoken advocates. And because he looked like your typical suit, he
Right.
could say the same thing I said. And in some places, he would be heard more.
True.
And it's not right that that's the case. It's not fair,
Mm-hmm.
but it's reality.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
also had a colleague who stood up for me, a boss I had. He was very supportive. I needed to move across country to help take care of my dad. And to do that, I had to change jobs. And so I
Wow.
applied for a job, and the person who was interviewing me said to that current boss, who was my advocate, "I don't know how a blind person can do that job." And to his credit, my boss turned to him and said, "You are one of the first Black VPs in Bell South. And when you were promoted, I am sure there are people who would have said, I don't know how he's going to supervise white people."
Wow. That was a good one.
And that, to the credit of that boss who became my new boss, he's the one that told me this story. He's the one that showed me the value, and it's something he experienced as well, of having others advocate for you when
Yes.
you're hitting a wall,
Wow.
and how powerful it is to have those allies there in the wings. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want somebody speaking for you necessarily, but if you're hitting a wall, maybe you need to try a different approach. Maybe your strategy should be different. And pulling in allies is a
Right.
very effective strategy.
I love it. When you're hitting a wall, rethink, re-strategize what you're doing, have some allies and some advocate that will work on your behalf. That is some good nugget for us, right? That's nugget number 3. The first one was in every challenge, there's an opportunity. Now, with her situation, she said in every single, when you hit a wall, re-strategize. You might just be doing it the wrong way. Change the way you're doing it. Get somebody to advocate for you. Have some allies, and you definitely go
And
forward.
then
Thank you.
have a great support system.
Yes.
I mean, because life isn't fair. We do face discrimination.
Yes.
It's part of reality. And in order to deal with that emotionally and have the resilience, you need to have good support. You need to have people you can complain to, who will listen and understand from their own personal experience,
Mhm.
and who can say, "Yeah, it's awful." And then when you get it out, what are we going to do to support you? And what can you
Mhm.
do to change the situation? And can we help?
Love it. That is just amazing. That is just so amazing. So, I had to ask this, right? What are some of the challenge that you face in your role with everything going on? Just like a few challenges that you face.
Think the pace of change within industry today, within business, is hard to deal with. It's a combination of restructuring, but also a combination of new technologies. And staying on top of the technologies that can help is a challenge.
Yeah.
You learn a lot. It's fun. It's frustrating, and the opportunities are there. It is real. It is real that we face a lot of people who have been downsized and a lot of people who have been let go of jobs who are phenomenal individuals who did their jobs well. And each of us, I think, in industry who've been around for a while realize it can always be you.
Yeah.
And doing what we can to support those folks without it and to take on the additional workload
Mm-hmm.
is a challenge.
It is.
We need to be there for each other as human beings as much as we need to be there for the company.
That is so true. And like we talk about some of the challenges, how did you balance compliance, innovation, and advocacy in such a regulated industry?
I think I rely on my colleagues to do the balancing it. I I tend to push a lot and I listen to them to say, I will say this is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they will say it's something we can't afford to do, or this is something that, the law doesn't really support in the way we'd like.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am not a hardcore business person, but I need to have those people in my life to know when to push harder and when not to. When it's a
True.
matter of this is the right time or this is not the right time.
True.
And so I try not to let it stop me,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you have to pull back a little, put something in your pocket. 6 months later, there might be an opportunity. It's like when you're doing a software revision, you're updating
Right.
your software. You have to at some point say, "We're not gonna make a change right now. When we do the next version, it's the time to do it." And I think
Right.
that's true in business and probably in life as well.
Amazing. That is so amazing. I like the fact that you're very collaborative and you understand, you're intentional. You know your skill set. You know where you can lean on yourself, and then you know when you can outsource. You can say, no, this is I
Yes.
can do this. I'll have to rely on someone,
If
and that
you're
is going to help those people that sometimes they feel like they can do everything by themselves. I think Susan is trying to tell us that you have to know you enough to know when it's time for you to delegate. It's time for you to understand that this is not going to be my task because it doesn't fall in my skill set. This is not my strength. I'll need to send this to somebody that I know is strong and is able to do this. So that's another amazing, amazing, amazing nuggets that we have. So how did establishing AT&T's Chief Accessibility Office change the company's culture and impact?
I think initially what it did was say to the company, this is important. It helped develop this skill set and it helped us to provide a system with which you can go, when you're developing a product or service, you could go to that system and it would tell you what are the accessibility things you need to do. Or, if you're procuring paper, you may not need to go through an accessibility process. But if you're developing software, you might. And it allows them to systematically look at how would this impact someone? How would a person who couldn't see do this? How would a person who couldn't hear use this? How could this
Amazing.
be maximized for someone who has difficulty speaking?
Right.
When you look at all those things, we see a fringe benefit that may not have been the initial reason something was developed. Captioning is a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
More people use captioning in bars and airports and noisy places than
Mm-hmm.
necessarily people with a hearing loss. My sister has perfect hearing, but when she watches the BBC, there's sometimes accents she has trouble understanding. Caption
Mm,
on, just in case. And so we see a fringe benefit for that. We see a fringe benefit for people who are language learners
mm,
and people who are sharing an environment. You have a spouse, you're in a studio apartment,
mm-hmm.
want to watch TV, but you don't want to keep them awake.
Mm,
Same for hearing aid compatibility. Yes, it helps the person with a hearing aid, but it helps their whole family. It helps their colleagues.
true.
It provides an ability to interact with a person who is probably a phenomenal person, or it could be a person you want to avoid. At least you have an honest
Right.
interaction and one that has shared expression and sharing of data. Three-way calling is a great example. You can do a three-way call with a doctor.
Yeah.
Anyone who's experienced a medical crisis, and it could
Mm,
be you or a family member, it's always helpful to have someone else on the line who's
yes.
writing down the pertinent information, who's reminding,
Mhm.
back to focus on the issue rather than dealing with the hardship of what you're dealing with, the
True.
emotional part of it.
Yes.
And so if you have someone who has a hearing loss though, and you can have someone on the line writing down, okay, you take 2 milligrams of XYZ medicine 4 times a day, because that's not the thing you want to get wrong. And
Exactly. You don't
so,
want
and the same with, calling to make reservations for, flights. You have a
Yep.
family opinion. Very helpful.
Very. Oh, wow. See, this is interesting because some of us, we don't, it's a different kind of thinking and putting, I like the fact that you didn't worry about just your own, you worry about people that can hear. Because people can be very selfish, right? And they think only about, oh, because I can't see that I'm going to just be in this field. But I just love the fact that you're so selfless that you're not only thinking about me and my situation, you're thinking about other people and other issues that they can be dealing with and other things that they can be working with and so forth. So that's really, really good. So, what leadership lessons have you taken from serving on federal federal and nonprofit boards? Like I know you did something on the federal committees and you also did something on the non-profit boards.
I think one of the things that's so critical is to listen, and to listen to not just what's said, but what's underlying it. So to listen to, is there a meta message that's there? Is there something that someone, if someone is yelling, is it because they're suffering? They're in pain? Is it because they've had hardship and they're frustrated? If they're blocking you, is it because it's something they know is not going to move forward within the agency or administration leadership because they know their priorities and it's not as high a priority? Sometimes it's an opportunity to say, to listen to the statement that's really, I don't understand you. I don't understand where you're coming from, and I need to know more. So is it an opportunity to provide education? But if you listen to what people are saying and how they're saying it and the emotions that go with it, and then whatever data, you can often analyze it in a way to make communication more effective. I think another leadership thing is it's important to have follow through. It's
Important
important
to have
follow through.
follow through.
To put your money where your mouth is, sort of. You really need to support your peers and colleagues. And sometimes you might not all agree, but if you can come to a consensus that everybody supports, you're going to be farther along than if you just fight among yourselves. And so sometimes it's not everything you want, but it's the best outcome that will serve the most people.
Wow. Come to a consensus. And sometimes the consensus might not be what you want, but is something that is going to go to the next step. You're not thinking about you or you don't want to win. It's not something about me winning my idea, what I want. It's not about you winning. It's about that consensus that would take the organization to the next level. That could take us towards the positive outcomes.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
important not to focus about me or my idea or do my way.
Yes.
It's about collaborating with everyone, coming to a consensus because we all have a one goal, one team with one goal for the company, and that will take it to the next step, the next level, positive outcomes.
And
That is
and when you're
definitely
setting up a committee or a board, find people with very different perspectives who can work together,
yes,
because that will end up with an endpoint that's farther along than any individual would come up with.
right. I love that, and that takes a lot of confidence, right? A lot of people, you have to be very confident to intentionally find people that are different
Yes.
because the ideas will be different, they will show up differently, but that is the magic that happens behind the scene.
Yeah.
This
I don't want to
diversity.
be the smartest person in the room.
Exactly.
I don't want to be right.
Exactly.
I want to serve the people I'm serving or the general population by doing the best we can do. And that means having a lot of different opinions, a lot of different thoughts and experiences. I mean, we have one lifetime.
Yep.
How much more can we resolve if we work together with all these different lifetimes and experiences and skill sets?
That is just amazing. And if everybody can think like that, this world will be such a better place.
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
This world will be such a better place if everybody can switch their thinking and say, hey, I don't have to be right all the time. I don't want to be the smart person in the room. I just want us to collaborate, to work together to get to the positive outcomes. It's not about me. It's about those outcomes. It's about the goals. It's about working together. It's about looking for the opportunity and the challenges. It's about bringing the diversity together. The puzzle doesn't look the same, and everybody that comes to the show almost says the same thing. So you're just hitting the nuggets, right? So that is really, really, really amazing. So you've had over 15 years in corporate leadership. That's a long
Yeah.
time. What keeps you motivated to continue in advancing in your career? What is that thing that keeps pushing you? Like, I want to keep going. I want to keep going.
Don't know that my focus at this point is advancing in terms of levels. It's more advancing in terms of issues and influencing for positive outcomes.
I love that word, positive
So,
outcomes.
I am at the end of my career. I'm 62.
Hmm.
I'll probably be working another 5 years, maybe 10 max. But my values are such that at the end of the day, I want to know that I've tried to make the world a little bit better. And that's more important than a rank
I love it.
or money for that matter.
Title.
I mean, I have to support my family. I have a kid that's in college. Would
Hmm.
like to be able to support that.
That's important.
I have grandkids, but you need to be able to, at the end of the day, live with yourself.
Yes.
And when you are ready to pass at the end of your life, you want to say, I did my best to help people, to make the world better. I tried to be honest and fair and kind, and forgiving is a hard one, but that too.
Yes.
These are all challenges, but at the end of the day, that's what's important.
Amazing. Just amazing. So, where do you see the biggest opportunity for growth in accessibility and telecommunications over the next 5 years?
I think the best opportunities are coming in the area of dissemination of information, what's out there, and then AI
Dissemination of information. Okay.
that's already out there because there's a lot of tools that are out there. There's a source called GARI, GARI, .info, that if you have a family member who has a disability or has a challenge at work or something like that, you can look up and say, what cell phone can I use if I have this? How will this help me? And there's so many great resources out there. The other one is AI. And while I understand the challenges that come with AI, the opportunities for people with disabilities are amazing.
Wow.
I can read, my door, I had a sign, somebody posted something on my door. I didn't have to find someone else to be able to read it. I was able to read it with my smart glasses and my cell
Hmm.
phone
Oh,
because it read it aloud. If my child comes with a note and says, my teacher says XYZ, I can read the note. Now, usually it's email today, so it's better. But, it's like you don't always want to you
so
want to
you can
trust but
read.
verify.
So the glasses can help you to read, but the glasses cannot help you to see anything.
Well, actually, it doesn't make me functionally see better. No, it doesn't make me medically see better. But I just went to a museum called the Chihuly Museum in Seattle. It's a glass museum. I have been there many times with people because I live in Seattle and it's one of the favorite places for my friends to go to. And I've gotten it's a lot of glass. It's a glass sculpture. It's really big. When I used the meta glasses, it gave me background on the on the artist. It gave me descriptions of color, and this is the way the colors meld together is evocative of
Yeah. Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, so much more information. And I have
Wow.
spent a lot of time in museums with my kids describing there's a lady on a horse. There's a man with a dog. There's a
Wow.
man with a dog on a horse. I think that was the entire British Museum. But this provides a lot more background. And if I don't want to hear it, I don't care about this particular artist or this particular topic,
Turn it
I can
off.
ask for a shorter version, or I can ask it to tell me more.
Wow.
And so even though it doesn't make me see that, it makes me see it in my mind.
Yes. Yes. That
And
is amazing. So is that accessible to everyone that can
yeah,
see
it is.
or
It's
okay.
the challenge is you have to buy these glasses and they're often not covered by insurance because they don't actually make you see better. And the challenge is, you do need to have a cell phone and you need to have these smart glasses. So there's
Right.
you know a lot of people, I mean, people who have disabilities are 3 times more likely to live in poverty. A lot of people will get it, but it is much harder when you have to, scrape every penny to get it. But the value is there, and some rehab agencies for people who are going back to work will provide it, and some foundations will. But it would be nice if, if you acquired a disability at any time in your life, you could get that wheelchair. You could
Wow.
get these other things. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works in the US.
Yes. Yes. So, what is one advice you can give someone in your same situation?
In terms of career, in terms of
Both, like they're
ability.
trying to climb up the career and maybe they're not able to see and and they're like leaders and they're trying to grow. And because you've been doing this for over 24 years and they find them, maybe they are 2 years in, 3 years in, and you know,
Yeah, don't try to predict your total career path because the technology is going to change so much and the industries are going to change. Take every opportunity to learn. And if you are in a place, you may not know what's the right fit for you right away. It may take some changing in jobs and opportunities. And the other thing is finally when people say, would you take on this project? Even if you don't feel like you're totally prepared for it, say yes, try it. The worst thing that will happen is it won't be right for you and you move on to something else. But if you don't try, you'll never know and you'll never grow.
wow,
Say yes a lot. I grew up, my family, my mother is Japanese, we're Asian. You do not promote yourself. You don't,
right.
you're
Different
very
culture, totally different culture.
different culture. And
Yeah.
so one of the challenges for me is to take the opportunities and to say, I'll grow into it. And I think particularly for women, for people of color, people with disabilities, we're not necessarily told that by society. So we have
No,
to tell it to ourselves.
you have to say that to yourself. Wow,
And you
wow,
have to
wow.
surround yourself with people who've
Yes,
had the experience and people who you can look to for help.
absolutely amazing. So, we always ask this question on this show, right? I know you've accomplished a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot as we are wrapping up right now. What is one positive outcome that you are extremely proud of, and what took you to that place?
I think a lot of times people would say like a mentoring award or something like that. But really, what I'm most proud of is I've tried to be a good person. I've always focused on that, regardless of things that are unfair or things that are difficult to hear. I try to focus on myself as a human being who and I think I've done a reasonably good, not perfect by any means, but I try to make the decisions that I make the right ones, even when it's maybe not advantageous to me personally, but
Right.
it's going to help other people. So I think staying true to the characteristics that I was raised to have or the values, staying true to those values has been what's most important.
Wow. And that takes being very, very intentional
Yes,
because the
sometimes you don't
world
really
is,
want to.
yes, sometimes you don't want to, and the world is throwing so much at you that can naturally make you an unhappy person or worried person about this bill, this job, the child, my health. But in your situation, in my situation, whatever we're all dealing with, I love the fact that you're very intentional to be a good person, regardless of whatever we are going through. So we're going to ask you one last question about biggest life lesson that you would let us know before we leave. But I just wanted my audience to remember some of the things you've said and please use it in your challenge that you're going through. In every single challenge, there is an opportunity. And listen, 24 years not able to see and doing so well in her profession. Listen, listen. When you listen, understand what you can take on, understand your strengths and your weaknesses. The ones that you cannot take on, you can pass it on, you can delegate it to other people. Collaboration is key. Having allies is good. Having someone that can advocate for you is also amazing. Follow through, follow through, follow through, follow through. I mean, she has mentioned so many nuggets that we can all use and be intentional to be a good person and try to make the world a better place. I love that. So, Susan, what is that life lesson that you're going to leave with us as we end this show?
Say, find the joy in what you're doing, find the love in the people around you, and share the love toward them. Find love, share love, and never give up.
Find
Just
joy,
redirect.
find love, share love, and never give up. So amazing. Susan, thank you so, so much for coming to the show. Thank you guys, everyone, for listening. Please, please share, and encourage that someone that needs to hear this, going through one phase or one maybe have something that they call disability. Because sometimes I'm like, Susan's success, I don't know if I want to even mention that word because she's doing extremely well. She has a positive mindset, a positive attitude. She's doing very well in her career. So share this episode with someone to also encourage them. Thank you guys for watching. Goodbye. Susan, before
Yep.
I say goodbye, is there anything you offer? Do you want them to contact you? Do you have anything that you're doing that people might need to reach out
I
to
would
you?
say they should watch your show and keep a positive attitude and look for new strategies and techniques to do what they want. We just need to support each other.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to Positive Outcomes. Follow the show and share this episode to inspire someone's next chapter.